Algebra 2 students, how are you? I hope you're doing your quarantine. I hope you're being safe. Please be safe. Guys, a lot of students have sent me that they can't do the quizzes. They can't because they can't understand the the practice online. So I'm going to give you an explanation for some of the questions. Of course, not all of the questions, but for some of these questions, I'm going to give you a practice so you can be able to solve the quizzes online back home. So let's begin. Let's begin with the first one. Today's objective is exponential models. How to solve exponential models questions. Exponential models questions. We learned the subject. All I'm going to do is to practice some of these questions. So I'm going to go as slow as possible. If you have any questions, please make sure that you email me the questions. You can find the email on the website, or you can call me on my Google Voice number. So let's begin. The first question, of course, it's a word problem. It's an easy subject, guys. Just make sure that you understand. I'll do a small review for each one so you can remember how to do it. So the first question, the bear population increases at a rate of 3% each year. 3%. There are 1,462 bears this year. How many bears will there be in 10 years? So in this case, we need to use the exponential equation or exponential formula, whatever you like. It's y equals a times b to the power of x. This is the exponential formula. I'll remind you that a represents the initial value, b represents the growth factor, and x represents the time in years. That is it. So all we need to do is plug in the numbers and we'll find it. So let's start with it. Y equals, A is the initial value. The initial value is 1,462 bears. Times B is the growth factor. The growth factor is how much? Increases at a rate of 3%. So the number of bears are getting bigger. So in this case, we're going to add the 3% to the 100%, which is the whole, which is going to be 103%. To the power of x, x is the time in years. They want to know how many bears I'm going to have after 10 years. So I plug in 10. And of course, all you need to do is use the calculator and get the answer. So it's going to be 1,462 times 1.03 to the power of 10. So the answer is about 1965. And this is the answer. That's the first question. Some of the questions are going to be really similar to this one. So I'm going to have 1965 bears after 10 years. Let's take a question that depreciates instead of increasing. Depreciate means decreasing. So let's start. A new truck that sells for $25,000 decreases in value 11% each year. What will be the value of the truck in 2 years? The same thing. We need to use the exponential formula. Remember, the exponential formula is y equals a times b to the power of x. So as we know, y, we need to find how much the value of the truck will be. A is the initial value, which is $25,000, times b. B will be the growth factor, 11%, but this time it depreciates, which decreases in value, so we subtract from the 100%. 100% minus 11%, it's going to be 89% to the power of 2. Now we need to check the answer. So it's going to be 25,000 times 89% to the power of 2. It's going to be 19,803. And that's the answer. So, as you can see, guys, all you need to do is plug in the numbers. Let's go for the next one. This one is the same thing, so I'm not going to solve it. Now, this one is all about understanding. You don't have to calculate anything. The only thing you need to know is to understand. So, without graphing, determine whether the function represents exponential growth or exponential decay. So, we have the function y equals 4 times 5 over 6 to the power of x. Now, how do we know when it's exponential growth or exponential decay? If b, the growth factor, is bigger, okay, is bigger than 1, okay, if b is bigger than 1, then it will be exponential growth. That's it. And if b is less than 1 and bigger than 0, then it's going to be exponential decay. That's it. So in this case, of course, we know that the exponential equation is y equals a times b to the power of x. A is 4, b is 5 over 6. So b equals 5 over 6. Now 5 over 6, is it bigger than 1 or less than 1? Of course, it's less than 1, so it's going to be exponential decay. Just remember, if b is bigger than 1, it's exponential growth. If b is between 1 and 0, it's exponential decay. Now let's go to the next one. Now this is the last question we're going to solve. So let's solve it together. We need a lot of space so you can understand it. This is the longest question you're going to have, so please focus. So write an exponential equation in the form of y equals a times b to the power of x. This is the exponential equation, remember it. A times b to the power of x, whose graph passes through points 4, 8, and 6, 32. So first, we need to understand the question. What is the question? The question is, we have this graph, okay? This is the x-axis, and this is y-axis. So in this case, we have 4, 8, and 6, 32. 4, 8, and 6, 32. So let's say this one, it won't be accurate, just for us to understand the question. So let's say this one is 4, and this one is 8. This is the first point. And 6, 32, let's say this one is 6, and this one is 32. So the graph is going to be this way. Now he wants us to find the equation that makes this graph, that passes through 4, 8, and 6, 32. 6, 32. Now how do we do that? All we need to do is have two equations with two variables. So let's begin. So my two equations, I'm going to take them from the exponential equation. We need to plug in for y and x. So we have 2 points. We have 4, 8, and 6, 32. The first one is x, the second one is y, the first one is x, the second one is y. So let's start with the first point, or the second point. How much is y? It's 32. So it's going to be 32 equals a times b to the power of 6. The second one, y is 8. So it's going to be 8 equals a times b to the power of 4. So I have these two equations. Now I need to solve them. Now first, to solve them, I need to cancel out one of the variables. To cancel them out, I divide both equations. So 32 divided by 8 is going to be 4. A divided by a cancels out. And b to the power of 6 divided by b to the power of 4 we subtract the exponents. So 6 minus 4, it's going to be 2. So it's going to be b squared. Now we need to cancel the square. To cancel with the square, we square root both sides. So it's going to be b equals the square root of 4 is 2. That's how you find the value of b. Now we need to find the value of a. To find the value of a, we use one of these two equations. Let's use the second one. 8 equals a times b to the power of 4. So 8 equals a times b, we found it. How much is b? It's 2 to the power of 4. So 8 equals a times 2 to the power of 4 is 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. Now we divide both sides by 16, so 1/2 equals 8. And that is the answer. So we found the value of b, we found the value of a. Now all we need to do is plug it in the exponential equation. Y equals a times b to the power of x. So it's going to be y equals a is 1/2 times b is 2 to the power of x. And that is the answer. In this case, it's 11. Thank you very much. Please remember, you have my email address, you have my Google Voice number. If you need anything, please call me or send me an email or even call the school and you can ask for Mr. A's phone number. Thank you very much. Have a great day.